in regards to the performance of the Miami Hurricanes. And yeah, just kind of the overall, I mean, to steal the name of the website, the State of the U right now. There's much left to be desired.
I actually posted a video on Sunday that was kind of my thoughts on not making a critique of Mario Cristobal and his staff, but just kind of sizing up why this doesn't make sense and, what has been a general pattern at the football program for the last 15 years or so. Regardless, this was another game in which what my take is on college football and my approach. I'm watching the best teams and the best games and that sort of thing. But when I see that going down, then I tend to start to check in. And I have found a channel on my cable system that shows the ESPN3 games. So I had it.
Oh, that's fun.
It's a very odd. It's called Bally Sports, and they show
Oh yeah.
ESPN3 games. So
Well, no, that's the regional sport. That's like your new Raycom Sports or whatever. So
okay. So I recorded the game.
Yeah.
And I watched some of it live anyway. And yeah, that is just a head scratcher of lack of preparation, execution,
Everything.
want to all of it roll together.
Yeah, no, so that's Bally Sports is your new regional sports network people. And yeah, it was not great. There were tons of turnovers, program record, I believe 8. I'm not 100% sure, and we had this conversation in the press box because one of the career journalists sitting in front of the sports information staff asked, like, hey, this seems like a lot of turnovers. Sports information did not have that information, which, hey, so we were talking about it, and I was just like, hey, shout out to my boy Bailey. But we look at, different things when we discuss sports in the party chat when we're, playing games, video games, that is. So I used those well-honed skills, and I looked up a bunch of stuff, and also, like the media guide and whatnot. So the last 2 games of the 1944 season, Miami threw 7 interceptions in each of those 2 games. There was 3 games, one in 1982 and one in 80, I want to say. It was like 64, 72, and 80. In each of those 3 games, Miami had 6 lost fumbles. I do not know the rest of what happened in those games because there's no box scores online that were accessible to me at that time, and maybe that I could use a different search method. But unless they had more turnovers on top of the 7 interceptions in each of the last 2 games, that was against Tulsa and Texas A&M, in case you were wondering, in 1944, and or had 3 or more interceptions in either of the 3 games in 64, 72, and 80, then I believe that the 8 is a program record. I'm not 100% sure, again, because I don't have the box scores, but at least in the modern era, if you want to say after 1980, when we have box scores, it's unequivocally a program record for turnovers. Although, again, the 5 lost fumbles falls short of the all-time program record of 6 in those 3 other games. But yeah, it was just so there were 8 turnovers. There were 2 failed 4th down attempts. So turnovers on downs, I count those as turnovers. So you have a reasonable case to say 10. And one of those 4th downs that was not converted was called an interception on the field and overturned to incomplete. And so the real conversation, because that was 8 at the time, and that's when we started asking the SIDs about, hey, is that the record? And then Jay Garcia was just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to give you an actual 8th. So, hey, there you go. So yeah, man, it was just not good at all. But it was a 21-17 game in the 3rd quarter with Miami leading, and that's after Tyler Van Dyke left the game. You know what I mean? But from there, it harkened back to the Michigan State game from last year. And Duke scores the final 28 points and ends up with a 24-point victory. And that team unequivocally quit on the field on the fourth quarter. Asked Cristobal about it. He said, hey, if we see that on film, it's going to be shout out to Bobby Ross, who once coached the Detroit Lions and said something similar. Said, they're going to get a quick bus ticket out of town. Cristobal on Monday said, we didn't see any lack of effort or da-da. I'm like, that's the coach answer, but like, fam, we watched it. Like, I'm not there. Nah. But it was bad, and obviously, some were errors of technique, some were just like miscommunications, but credit to Duke for making all of those plays and everything. But like, Jalen Knighton fumbled for the third time in 4 weeks. Why is he still getting snaps at all at this point? Honestly, you continue to give the ball to the other team. Thad Franklin, a healthy scratch, and we were talking about it in the press box. Is Thad Franklin out there? Or he's standing right there at the 30-yard line with his helmet in his right hand. There. So a healthy scratch. Gets 0 carries. You give Lucius Stanley a couple carries, the walk-on transfer from UAB. But Thad Franklin can't get any. But you keep putting Knighton back in the game after he gives the ball up. Time after time after time. And again, if it was once, maybe. Excuse me, but you know what they say? Once is an accident, twice is a trend, 3 times is evidence. And it's 3 times this season with other instances previously. Until you prove that you can hold on to the ball, buddy, you got to find the sideline. And I mean by the sideline, I mean a bench. Or he should be standing over there with his helmet in his hand or something. Now, I don't know if Thad Franklin had something else that he was being disciplined for being a healthy scratch and whatever, but that's unacceptable. Keyshawn Smith, and both Keyshawn Smith's and Jalen Knighton's fumbles were caused by carrying the ball in the incorrect arm. So they're guys who carry the ball in the right hand only. They don't switch the ball. So it ends up being the inside arm. So Keyshawn Smith took a kickoff return from the right hash mark, basically, and he goes and he weaves his way to the left, and now all of a sudden he's running and the ball's right there in front of the defenders. Well, bang, let me get that turnover. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% assured that he doesn't fumble that ball if the ball's in his left hand, but like, that's easy. That's an easy technique switch, right? Boom. Hey, if you're going that way, whichever way you're running, right or left, that's the arm it should be in because it puts your body between the defenders and the ball. It's just like, and I know people think, you never played football. Whatever. I did play basketball and I was damn good. So you're not going to dribble down the court with your left hand and put the ball in front of the defender. Let me get that. No. Look at Mark Jackson. Look at Magic Johnson. Look at any point guard, bro. When you get guarded close, what do you do? Okay, I'm going to pound that and I'm going to put my whole body in front of you so you can reach through. And now if you reach, I teach, I'm going to go by or get you on a foul. But I'm not going to put the ball right in front of your face unless maybe I got it on a string and I got a low cross for you. But if I don't, I'm not going to put the ball out there like that. But they're doing the same thing in terms of where they carry the ball and how they're moving on the football field, both Jalen Knighton and Keyshawn Smith. And that was a thing that had to have been seen on film because those defenders weren't even trying to tackle them. They went straight for the ball and they got it both times, right? Then, Tyler Van Dyke, they brought a super complex pressure. Our offensive line has 3 starters still. I mean, they got guys starting, but they're not starters. Got overwhelmed, trying to roll away from it. Probably should have thrown it away. Doesn't. Get sacked, fumble. They recover deep in our territory, and now he's injured because he had added 600 pounds on top of him. He fell directly on his throwing shoulder, and what is it? Force equals mass times acceleration. Hey, like all that force, so you're going to the ground and you're accelerating at 9.81 meters per second squared, gravity going towards the ground on top of them driving you with additional acceleration. So like that's going to probably hurt. He was seen on campus on Monday in a sling. Mario Cristobal said that he's done some stuff this week. I don't think that Tyler Van Dyke is playing this week. I don't think we're going to see Tyler Van Dyke for probably a few couple weeks. That's me, myself personally, not going off of anything other than having seen other people have these kinds of injuries. But in comes Jake Garcia, does some good things, 64% completions for the year, 2 touchdowns on the day, but 5 of the 8 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions. One was a clear miscommunication. The Frank Ladson ran a go route and Garcia threw a flag like to the corner, a corner route. Defender's right there, receiver's not. Okay, but yeah, and it just kind of snowballed. I'm going to read to you the lengths of the drives for Duke to score points. Let's see. Nope, that's on this side. 23 yards for a touchdown, 22 yards for a touchdown, -1 yard for a field goal. 18 plays, 79 yards for a touchdown. That was their one drive. 56 for a touchdown, 25 for a touchdown. Those were the scoring drives. You get one super long 9.5-minute drive, but other than that, the defense actually kind of played really well. And again, you're in that game and leading 21-17. But, shout out to Chinua Achebe, but sometimes things fall apart, and they definitely did on Saturday.